The text lit up my screen at 6:42 a.m., right as I was charting my last PICU med of the night. Call me immediately. I stepped into an empty family room, dialed, and braced. Maya, my lawyer said. We found the signatures. I'm so sorry. They're your parents. I found out my name could be stolen while I was busy keeping someone else's alive. Night shift in a pediatric ICU is its own small country. Fluorescent sunrise at 2 a.m., tiny beeps like constellations, a soundtrack of glove snaps and lullabies. I've been a nurse at Seattle Children's for 6 years. My hands know their way around a line in the dark, and my brain can hold a drip rate and a parent's panic at the same time. That morning, the last thing I needed was a different kind of emergency. My phone vibrated in my scrub pocket as I was charting. It was 6:42 a.m., the hour where bodies run on caffeine and willpower. A single line filled the lock screen. From Eli Rosen, Legal Clinic, call me immediately. 2 weeks earlier, I'd gone to a free legal clinic above a barber shop on Rainier because a debt collector had called about a hospital bill from an ER visit in Spokane in 2019. I've never been to Spokane. The collector had my full name, my social security number, and my current address. They also had a $3,000 judgment that I knew nothing about and a wage garnishment order they were planning to serve my hospital next pay cycle. I printed my credit report, circled the accounts I didn't recognize, and made an appointment with Eli. He was student loan skinny and sunbreak kind. 30s, glasses he kept smudging, a tie knotted like a person who respected rituals but not costumes. He'd filed an identity theft report with the FTC, placed a fraud alert on my credit, and told me he'd subpoenaed original contracts from 2 credit cards opened in my name, right after my dad's hours had been cut. Back in 2020, when the world lost its boundaries and people did strange things to stay fed. I stepped into the empty family room and dialed. The window looked over the city where the sun hadn't decided if it was serious yet. Maya. His voice was steady in the way you want bridges to be. Do you have a minute? I'm off in 18 minutes, I said. You have 5. He didn't laugh. We got the documents, the ER bill, and the 2 credit cards. Paper rustled through the phone, that soft, awful sound. The signatures, they match. We cross-checked. Your mother signed your name. Your father notarized. One of them at his buddy's mailbox store. I sat down slowly, like you do next to a child's bed when the news is too sharp to stand up for. You're sure? 100%, he said, and let silence hold us for a second, because sometimes the kindest thing is not filling it with instructions. We can fix the Spokane judgment. We'll file to vacate. You're an identity theft victim, not a debtor, but you need to hear this next part. He took a breath that told me he'd practiced this sentence in a mirror. The cards, they maxed them for groceries and your dad's truck repairs, then paid minimums for a while. When the cards defaulted, the bank sold the debt to a collector. The collector is less interested in the story than the math. We'll stop the garnishment, but Maya, your parents signed twice more in 2021, a furniture store and a cash advance. Same name. Same handwriting. The terrible truth wasn't novel. People do this. Parents open credit in their kids' names. Children get the bill with the last name stuck to it. Counselors sit you down and tell you what the law can and cannot do. Facebook tells you to disown them. Real life tells you to pick between 2 kinds of missing, the money and the mother. Is there criminal exposure? I asked. My voice was flat. A good nurse's voice. The one that keeps panic from making the wrong chemical decision. In Washington, you can file a police report for identity theft, Eli said. You'll need it for the bureaus. Whether SPD prosecutes is a different question. Prosecutors have to weigh harm, restitution, community ties. You'd be asked if you want to cooperate. He paused. We can do this without blowing up your life. We'll freeze your credit, dispute the trade lines, vacate the judgment, and set a cease and desist on collectors. You'll need to talk to your parents eventually. Eventually. That word children learn to recognize in dentists' mouths. Thank you, I said. Send me what you need me to sign. I'll call you after I sleep and drink something brown with sugar. I walked back into the bright and did what my job taught me. I washed my hands, I took off my gloves, I put on new ones. I finished my charting and said goodbye to a 12-year-old who had decided she wanted to watch hair tutorials during her chemo because she liked learning braids even if hair wasn't a roommate right now. I clocked out, hugged Clara at the desk because she knows, and drove home to a studio with rent I pay by working 2 weekends a month and saying no to shoes that make you feel like you bought a new face. I made coffee. I sat on the floor. I set my phone on the rug like a little altar. Then I called my mother. She answered on the third ring, chipper. "Baby girl, how's my nurse?" "Are you sitting down?" I said, and somehow made it sound like the first question, not the only one. "What?" "I'm peeling potatoes," she said. "I can sit. Your father's at work." The union finally got the hours back, thank God. "What's wrong? Is it Dad? Are you okay?" "The Spokane bill," I said. It wasn't fishing. Silence. Then, too quick. "What do you mean?" "You opened it," I said. "With my name. And the 2 cards. And the furniture store. And the cash advance." She exhaled a thin ribbon of sound. I pictured the way she always holds her cigarette off the balcony, as if smoke wouldn't locate her anyway. "Who told you that?" "My lawyer." "Our lawyer, you mean?" she said, an old reflex catching a new rule. "We're family." "Not for this," I said. She started crying. My mother cries like a whistle kettle, long and insistent. "We had no choice," she said. "Your father had his hours cut at the plant, and my hours at the cafeteria were gone. No kids in school. We didn't get unemployment right. Your abuela needed her insulin. We were drowning." "You stole my life jacket," I said, surprising myself with a metaphor my 10th graders would kill me for. "You make more than us," she said, angry now because anger was safer. "You work nights. You don't have kids. You live in a place with a fireplace that lights up when you push a button even when it's not cold. I have student loans," I said. "I have a job that kills parts of me I love to pay for the parts of me I love. You could have asked. And said what? 'Mija, can we borrow your name?' You would have said no. You didn't give me a chance." "No," she said, the word sharp and small. "We didn't." We said nothing for a while. In the kitchen downstairs, my neighbor was blending a smoothie to punish a banana. Life goes on when you are grieving paper. "What do you want me to do now?" I asked. What I meant. "Choose the version of you I can live with. The woman who used my name to survive, or the woman who pretends it was a favor." She inhaled. I could hear her becoming my mother. "Come for dinner. We'll talk when your father's home. 7. I'll make arroz con pollo, your favorite." "I'll bring a folder," I said. She laughed once and then made it stop. "Of course you will. I brought 2. One labeled Fix It in blue Sharpie, the other labeled Rules. They live in White Center in a 2-bedroom ranch with a chain-link fence that keeps flowers and dogs where they belong." Dad's truck was in the driveway, proud after 15 years, the bed proclaiming its usefulness with a shovel and 3 zip ties. The front door opened before I reached it. My mother wears worry like jewelry. She had on all her rings. In the kitchen, Dad sat at the table like he was waiting for a coach to tell him where to put his hands. He looked older. He is older. I put my folders down and kissed his head because I love him, and because love is not a line item, it's a bleeding category. "You look tired," he said. "You look guilty," I said. He winced. "It was my idea," he said before my mother could take the weight and turn it into sainthood. "Your mother said no. I said yes. I told her I'd handle it. I thought I was. I am sorry." Sometimes apologies change a room. Sometimes they change a math problem into a story. I sat. Mom set down plates because hunger is also a math problem. We ate for a few minutes, the silence not the bad kind. Then I opened Fix It. "Here's what happens next," I said. "I filed an identity theft report with the FTC. Eli will help me vacate the Spokane judgment. I put a fraud alert on my credit and I'm freezing it with all 3 bureaus tonight. You will call the 2 credit cards and the furniture store. Tell them your daughter did not authorize the accounts, and give them the police report number." They flinched. "Yes," I said, answering the question I could feel hovering. "We need to file a police report. It's not about sending you to prison. It's how I get the bureaus to remove the accounts and how we stop collectors from suing me. We can file it in a way that tells the whole story. I will meet you at the precinct tomorrow at 9. Dad nodded, eyes wet. Mom picked at the tablecloth like it did this to us. Okay, she said, so quiet the air had to lean in to hear it. And then, I said, flipping the folder, you go to the credit counselor Eli recommended. They consolidate whatever you owe that isn't in my name. You stop using anything. You can't pay cash for. You sell the truck if you need to. You sell the timeshare your cousin roped you into. You will not save face and lose the house. I will help with groceries and Abuela's insulin for 3 months. That's it. After that, we revisit. We can't sell the truck, Dad said, reflex. You can, I said, gentle and hard. You'll keep your job. The union has a carpool list. I looked it up. He stared at me and then did the thing he does when he chooses to be the man who raised me instead of the boy inside him who never got chosen. He nodded. Mom tried a different tack, the spell she used to keep me in place when I was 12 and didn't know you can say no to your origin story. Mija, she said, we did this for you. Don't. I put my hand up. You did this instead of telling me the truth. There's a difference. She deflated more than she bristled. It hurt more than bristling does. I opened the rules folder. Here are my conditions for staying in your life right now. Dad smiled despite himself. Of course there's a list. There's always a list, I said. That's how you raised me. Rules for us, posted on their fridge that night. No new credit, no co-signing, no, it's just a store card. Cash or debit. Every purchase above $100 is discussed. Mail gets opened the day it arrives. If it scares you, you call me or Eli. You do not hide it under the placemat. You tell me the truth first, not after. I do not want to learn my parents through a subpoena again. You apologize for the story you told about me, that I make more so it's no big deal, and you stop saying it to Aunt Rosa. I will help with groceries and insulin for 3 months. I will not use my credit to fix this. I will not be called selfish when I keep that boundary. 5, Dad said. I can do 5. 6, I said. We see a counselor together. Not church, not cousin. Somebody who knows what money does to people. 2 sessions. Then we decide if more would help. Mom groaned. We're not people who go to therapy. You are now, I said. It didn't feel like triumph. It felt like work, the good kind. The next day, we filed the police report. The SPD officer had kind eyes and a printer that jammed twice. I fixed it because I always fix the printer. Mom cried when she signed the statement. Dad's hands shook when he signed his apology section. The officer printed 3 copies of the report and told me how to send it to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. He wrote victim next to my name like I was something besides loud. I thanked him with a sincerity that made him look at his desk for a second. We sat in a credit counselor's office on 4th Ave that smelled like old files and second chances. A woman named Trina with a cardigan that could calm toddlers walked. My parents threw a budget that would not have killed anyone. No predatory cards, realistic grocery line, insulin as non-negotiable written in ballpoint. She added a line item that made my mother protest out of habit and then admit she needed it. Therapy, copay. Stress makes people do math badly, Trina said. Shame makes people do math in secret. My mother snorted, a little. Put that on a church sign, she said. We sat in therapy with a woman named Jen who looked like a librarian and asked questions like a surgeon. When did you learn to hide? She asked my mother, and Mom answered without crying for the first time. When my father drank, she said. When he came home, I hid money in the sugar canister so we'd eat next day. She looked at me. I thought I was saving us. I was saving the wrong us. We went to 2 sessions. Dad came to the second and told the truth. I wish he'd had the vocabulary for when I was 8. I let my wife do the bad thing and told myself I was being kind by not stopping her. I won't do that anymore. The courts vacated the Spokane. Judgment. Eli sent me a PDF of the order with a subject line that read simply, win, in capital letters. I printed it, framed it, and put it on my bookshelf next to my nursing license, because both meant I could keep working for the life I picked. The bureaus removed the fraudulent trade lines. The collectors stopped calling. We kept to the 3-month grocery insulin deal. I paid it without telling anyone, and I didn't let my mother turn it into a personality test I had to pass every week. After 3 months, I tapered, and we added one more rule to the fridge that had matured like good bread. If you need help, you ask. I will answer yes, no, or here is a resource, not why didn't you? There were slips. Of course there were. In May, a smiling man at a big box register offered my mother 10% off today's purchase if she opened a card. It took her 3 seconds to say no, and 2 hours to tell me she'd almost said yes. I said, thank you for telling me, instead of, how could you? Because we don't move the pot after it burns anymore. In July, Dad wanted to co-sign for Nate's apartment because the landlord was awful, and my brother is a musician who thinks drums are a budget. Dad called me. I said, do not do it. He didn't do it. Nate found a landlord who wanted proof of employment, not Dad's credit. In September, my mother put a check with my name in the memo in my hand and said, first payment of what? We owe you, and I did the thing our therapist taught us. Receive with gratitude. Say the truth out loud. I took it. Thank you, I said. And you owe me repair more than you owe me money. I know, she said, and looked like she accepted a grade she'd earned. It's been a year now. The day before Thanksgiving, I brought my parents to my hospital for Walk of Light, the ceremony where we line hallways with lamps for kids who survived and kids who didn't but are still here somehow. They stood next to me and cried the way you cry when you're looking at a room full of strangers whose names you don't know and could still swear to. My mother squeezed my hand and whispered, you hold people, like it was a brand new compliment. There are still 2 folders on their fridge, the rules and the fix-it plan, grim magnets with hopeful paper. There is also a new magnet, a photo, of us sitting on a bench with coffee we didn't have to hide, and my father's hand on my mother's knee like a vow. The terrible truth about my parents is that they used my name to survive. The other truth is that they told me after I learned it the worst way, and then they did the thing every kid wants their parents to do when secrets break. They learned a new way to love. If this were a movie, there'd be a scene where I say, I forgive you, and everyone cries and the lights come up with a song. In real life, forgiveness is paperwork and boundaries and soup and the knowledge that you may have to do it again tomorrow. The good news is you can write the script. You can be the nurse who asks for consent before you touch the line. You can be the daughter who says, call me immediately before the lawyer has to. 2 weeks ago, my mother called, voice bright. We have a table at the credit union's workshop, she said. They want me to tell my story about the day I opened the mail and then opened my mouth. She laughed, which is important. Will you come? Always, I said. I drove down. She stood at a podium in a room above the teller windows and told 50 people the truth in 1 paragraph and then in 3 pages. About immigrant families, pride, bad math, the sugar canister, my name, the police report, the fridge rules. She finished with, open your mail, open your mouth, open your heart. The room applauded softly, the way rooms do when they recognize themselves. After, I hugged her and she put her mouth near my ear and said, thank you for calling Eli. Thank you for answering when I called you, I said. We walked outside, into air that felt like a promise you keep one day at a time. My father took our picture. His hand didn't shake. For once, the world stood still, and it didn't feel like we were waiting for bad news. It felt like we'd finally done the thing you imagine other families know how to do and yours doesn't. Tell the truth, fix the printer, and eat soup at the same table without anyone being the secret ingredient.